name is Lisa Lumley, and I'm a constitutional conservative. I got that way from my father, who's a combat veteran. He taught me the importance of defending our Constitution. I've promised him, and I'm promising everybody that I talk to, that I'm going to be a constitutional conservative. I'm going to strictly interpret the laws, never legislate from the bench. I bring to the bench 25 years of experience. I've handled hundreds and hundreds of cases in a broad variety of civil disputes. And of course, that's what this court is going to be doing, is this broad variety of civil disputes. The depth and breadth of my experience has been recognized in a number of different ways. I've been chosen multiple times as a top attorney. I've been rated by my peers as having the highest level of legal knowledge and ethics. I've been chosen by the State Bar Association to help draft the official published questions that judges across the state have to use with their juries. I'm a member of the Texas Bar College. The State Bar has certified me. I'm a fellow of the State Bar and the Tarrant County Bar. The National Institute of Trial Advocacy has chosen me to help teach other lawyers how to try cases. I've even been hired by other big law firms here in town to defend them when they've been sued. Other things that indicate my experience and my conservative values is that the Tarrant County Law Enforcement Association has endorsed me. I've got endorsements from J.D. Johnson, the president of the the Arlington Tea Party, the South Lakes former mayor, Andy Wamscons, various former Tarrant County Bar Association presidents, the president of the litigation section of the State Bar. Moving beyond my qualifications, my years as a lawyer and my friendships with the judges and my study of judges from all around Texas and even outside of Texas is that you need to bring to the bench a certain level of experience, a certain level of competence. But you also need to bring to the bench your personality. You need to bring your ability to help people get comfortable in the courtroom. Justice should not be something that is that intimidating that people that it's not accessible to them. One of the things that I wanted to tell people was why I wanted to be a judge in the first place. Because that's always a big question for people. Why do you want to go down this road? Well, I come to it from a number of different respects. I've always been very passionate about justice and people's ability to get justice. That's why I went to law school in the first place. I wanted to help people get justice. It's actually what I saw my father doing way back when he was fighting in the Vietnam War, was trying to help that people get justice. But of course there's also justice in the Bible. Blessed are those that keep justice. I want to be part of that system, and I want to be part of the government system that is the third leg of our government. And without that third leg, just like a stool, it will topple over. So we need to make sure that it continues to be strong. Who I am as a person. Like I mentioned, I'm a military brat. I was born in Germany. I've moved all over. I've lived a lot of places that most would not consider exciting, like Enid, Oklahoma, rural New Mexico, Omaha, Nebraska, Plattsburgh, New York, Abilene, Texas, a couple of times there. Also lived in Okinawa as a kid. Really enjoyed that and that shift of cultures. Although even at 9 years old, I was very tall for the Okinawa culture. And I heard that repeatedly as I would walk down the street. Very tall girl, very tall girl. Let's see, since then I got married to a guy in the military, so I went to law school where he got stationed, so I went to Ohio State Law School, got a lot of awards there, was on an academic scholarship, graduated in the top 10% of my class. After that, I was recruited to come work in Dallas. I worked in Dallas and eventually moved around a little bit more till I finally decided that it was time for me to pick a place to live. And I looked at Austin, I looked at Dallas, I looked at Houston, looked at California, chose Fort Worth. So I'm pretty passionate about Fort Worth and what a great place it is. And in fact, when I got married to my current husband, the love of my life, I made him promise that we would never move. In fact, we haven't even discussed whether or not we'll ever move houses. I've said I'm not even doing that. I am now planted. I'm not ever going to move again. He also brought into my life 2 little boys. I made it to 47 without being a parent. Now all of a sudden I'm a step-parent. So you will also find in my house, in addition to little boy toys, because they were 6 and 8 when we got married, a whole library of parenting books. I keep looking for the answers. Some of you other parents have reassured me that I am not going to find the answers in those books, but that's what I keep looking for. Let's see, about 8-10 years ago, I fully developed my interest in cars. I saw here that Kim has a bunch of car magazines out in the lobby, and I was actually really tempted to stay out in the lobby and start reading those car magazines. So in fact, one of the things I do is I began to race cars. And what I really liked about that was the problem solving, not only in terms of the actual race itself, but the mechanical pieces of it. And if you think there's no sexism in society, you just wait until you see a woman crawl out from underneath her car and watch people's faces. But I've really enjoyed that and gotten my husband involved in that, and our kids too, teaching them the basic mechanical skills. As part of that, I got certified as an instructor for teenagers. Found out that 40% of teenage deaths are caused by car accidents, failure to avoid accidents. So I've been certified as an instructor to help teach those teens accident avoidance maneuvers. We take them out to a parking lot, for example, and wet down an area and teach them how to control a car in a skid. I bring some of that competitive spirit to my practice as a lawyer. I want to figure it all out. I want to study it. I want to research it. I want to learn everything possible. And then I want to be the best lawyer I can be. And that's the very same thing I want to bring to being a judge. I want to study everything. I want to have researched both sides. I want to be helping solve that problem and bringing justice to all of the cases.
All right, Lisa, great. So I have some questions for you for the Arlington Republican Club. And these are questions that you have not seen or like nobody has heard prior to meeting with me. And there are no right or wrong answers. These are not judicial in nature. They're more political in nature. And it's really to allow the members of Arlington Republican Club to get a feel for what your personal philosophy is, to see on different levels they can connect with you. All right, so my first question is going to be, do you believe our legislative elected officials should vote according to their conscience or the will of their constituents?
Well, hopefully those two things coincide. And the reason they should coincide is because if the elected official has been honest in what he or she has told the constituents, they've elected somebody who will be saying and doing what the constituents wanted in the first place. So I'm real hesitant to say that I want the legislators to exercise their discretion and vote their conscience. I certainly don't want them going against their conscience. But I want them to have been honest with the constituents about what that conscience is before they get elected, so that they can do the will of the people.
So, and I'm trying to get you to commit one way or another. What if there is a conflict? What if their conscience changes or the will of the constituents change from the time they're elected to the time there's a vote?
So is this a second question, or is this
well,
part
this was
B?
so fun. Yeah, this is the follow-up.
No, just teasing. Yeah, I think it's got to be the conscience. I mean, the job of these elected officials is to research the bills and to learn as much as they can about them. Because at some level, the constituents can't do that for every single bill like the elected official has to. So that has to be the touchstone of the
All right, Lisa, so my next question is, which part of the U.S. Constitution is being undermined the most, and why?
I see attacks in several different areas, and so it's hard for me to say which one most, but certainly I see property rights being undermined. The Second Amendment rights are under attack, but it's hard to say that they're actually being undermined because states like Texas are doing a really good job of fighting back on that and protecting the rights to their land. So certainly you can see that the attacks are coming, but I don't know that they're succeeding. So I don't know that that falls into that category. And then, of course, the First Amendment rights. You see a lot of that, can you say this? Can the students say that? What happens if the teachers say something? And this overarching political correctness that must be adhered to, or that you're going to lose your job or you're going to lose your community. And then, of course, the hate crimes bills.
Okay, and you were talking about hate crimes.
And of course, the hate crimes bills. I certainly am not in favor of saying ugly things about any category of people, but that's part of our free speech, and that's part of what our government and our Constitution was founded on, is the antidote to bad information is more information. It's not to cut off the bad information. And then, of course, there's the struggle between the states and the federal government, the 10th Amendment. Does the 10th Amendment mean anything, or does it not? And the United States Supreme Court has waffled a bit on it, but essentially they've been holding that it doesn't mean anything, that the federal government can overrun us. So that's an area that needs to be watched.
So what can be done to address this, to stop this erosion of rights?
I think it needs to be tackled on two fronts. I think it needs to be tackled on the states asserting their rights, and I think it needs to be tackled by sending people to Washington that are respectful of the state rights and are respectful of what the Constitution actually says. And the same with all the other constitutional issues of the free speech, the gun rights, property rights. All of that should be maintained by the states.
The next question is, which part of the Texas Constitution is most important to you?
I don't know the answer to that. I'm going to have to go back. The Texas Constitution is about this thick. So I would have to go back and look through all of it before I could get you a good answer on that. Certainly, passions with me have always been the property rights, the rights to the same sort of rights that have been included in our federal Constitution, the right to pursue happiness, and that kind of thing. So I'm just going to have to reserve judgment on that one.
Okay. So what is the most significant barrier you have seen for litigants to receive justice?
Money. The most significant barrier has been the cost of litigation. And I am specifically referring to civil right now, which is, of course, the court that I am seeking election towards. But the civil courts, to the extent that they're not moving quickly, to the extent there are extended procedures, to the extent that you can't get a hearing quickly or get the cases moved through quickly, litigants end up spending so much more on the litigation costs themselves than trying to get justice, that it ends up becoming something that we call green mail, which means that it's legal to bring this lawsuit, and it may have just a shred of legitimacy, but it's going to cost you so much to defend it that you end up having business clients or something pay some amount of money, pay something less than the defense costs, but more than the claim is actually worth. That, to me, is a huge barrier to justice. If you've got people with good claims that can't pursue them because it costs too much, or can't defend them because it costs too much, that is a barrier to justice.
This last question is going to make you smile. If you were a benevolent dictator for a day, which law would you permanently change, and why?
Wow, which law would I permanently change? Man, I'd want to go back and study that, because if you only got one shot, you got to make it a good shot.
One shot.
You got one shot. You got to make it a good shot. I don't know. I think that's going to have to be the answer. I don't know. I am one of those people that likes to research everything and think it out. In fact, among car nut circles, those who adore cars, they'll sit around and they'll say, okay, if you win the lottery, what kind of car are you going to buy? I can't even answer that question, even though I'm a real car nut, because I don't have that kind of money, and so I've never driven those cars. And so I always say, well, I'm going to win the lottery first, and then I got to go drive all these cars, and I got to research it and think about it before I pick. And I want to do that with this question too. I want to think about the ramifications, because one of the things that people can do on a knee-jerk is say, I want to undo this law, or I want to undo that law, and they haven't thought through all the ramifications of it. The only law that I can think through at the top of my head that I would want to undo would be the right to seek an abortion. I don't see any negative ramifications for taking that law away.
Are there any words you want to say just to the general membership of the Arlington Republican?
I sure appreciate this opportunity, and of course, I got to apologize for any awkwardness of being videotaped. It's not something that is inside my realm of the comfort zone. In fact, the whole candidacy thing is somewhat outside the comfort zone. I've been advocating for clients for 25 years, and now all of a sudden to be trumpeting my own skills and my own worthiness for this is an awkward and difficult thing. But what I really want to bring to the bench is this sense of hard work. I'm going to be one of the hardest working judges over there. I'm going to build on what Judge Dana Womack has established. Hardworking, fair, prompt answers to the issues that attorneys bring before her. Very respectful to all of the litigants and all of the attorneys. You hear these horror stories of judges that are nasty to the attorneys. There is even a rumor that there is a judge, not in the Tarrant County State Courts, that attorneys will charge extra if they have to appear in front of. I am not going to be that judge. I'm going to be I've always worked to be the best attorney I can be, and I'm going to work to be the best judge I can be.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Lisa.
you.